That's what we're going to do. We leave this open because we oftentimes with our learners do the same thing. What do you know about what we're going to talk about? What do you want to know? And at the end of it, did you actually learn some things as well? So we're going to go back to our presentation. Jesse, let me know if this advances or if you have to do that whole technical thing that we did last time. We'll get right back at it.
You're good.
Okay. Is there anyone on this call or in this room that can read this chart? Anyone? I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads. No. Oh my goodness.
I recognize some characters, but no. And just because my mother studied Russian when I was a child.
So you recognize one of the root languages that we have. We call this Ameruss, American Russian. And there are some words that you might be able to recognize or characters that you might be able to recognize. But if you were asked to read this, how many of you feel like you'd be able to read this fluently at this stage? Nope. All right. We are going to find out if we together can learn how to read this fluently using the same method for Laubach Way to reading. Okay? So this is one of those things. When I first went through my training in September of 2010, I was just like you. I could not read these two paragraphs fluently, but afterwards, we all should be able to read it to some degree of confidence.
It's not this girl has a bird, is it?
No, it is not. But that's a good guess considering what we had before. Very good guess. So I am going to go into what I call tutor mode, and we're going to teach this chart. The Laubach Way to Reading is organized by visual cues and charts that have the pictures, the words, and the letters that you are teaching an adult learner. And we're going to use that same method to teach this chart. So as I call for these directions, you will repeat after me as a group, and we'll be able to get through this chart together. Taking my little annotate tool, it's a laser pointer. Can everybody see my laser pointer? I see some nods. We are going to begin. Now notice that I'm going to go into my tutor voice, which is a voice that you should also be able to have to speak clearly so that your learners can follow along with you with understanding. So please repeat after me. This is a boy. Say boy.
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 This looks like a boy. Say boy.
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 This is the word boy. Read boy.
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 Boy begins with the sound b. Say b.
B.
Again.
B.
Again.
B.
Again.
B.
The sound of this letter is b. The name of this letter is bay. Say bay.
Bay.
Again.
Bay.
Again.
Bay.
What is the sound of this letter?
A.
B. Good. What is the name of this letter?
Bay.
This is a ship. Say ship.
Ship.
This looks like a ship. Say ship.
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 This is the word ship. Read ship.
Ship.
Ship begins with the sound sh. Say sh. Again. Again. And again. The sound of this letter is sh. The name of this letter is Shaw. Say Shaw.
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 Again.
Shaw.
Shaw.
Again.
Shaw.
Shaw.
What is the sound of this letter?
Sh.
What is the sound of this letter?
B.
What is the name of this letter?
Bay.
Bay.
What is the name of this letter?
Shaw.
Shaw.
Good. This is a ladder. Say ladder.
Ladder.
This looks like a ladder. Say ladder.
Ladder.
This is the word ladder. Read ladder.
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 Ladder begins with the sound L. Say L.
L,
Again,
L,
again,
L,
again.
L,
The sound of this letter is L. The name of this letter is L. Say L.
L,
Again,
L,
L,
again.
L,
L,
What is the sound of this letter?
L,
What is the sound of this letter?
sh,
What is the sound of this letter?
B,
What is the name of this letter?
B,
What is the name of this letter?
Shaw.
Shaw,
And what is the name of this letter?
L,
L,
Good. This is a chair. Say chair.
chair,
chair,
This is the letter chair. Say chair.
chair,
chair,
Chair begins with the sound ch. Say ch. Again. 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 The sound of this letter is ch. The name of this letter is che. Say che.
che,
Again.
che,
Again.
che,
What is the sound of this letter?
ch,
What is the sound of this letter?
L,
What is the sound of this letter?
sh,
What is the sound of this letter?
B,
What is the name of this letter?
A,
B,
What is the name of this letter?
she, she,
Shaw.
Oh, Shaw.
Shaw,
What is the name of this letter?
L.
L.
And what is the name of this letter?
J,
Che. Good.
che,
This is a rope. Say rope.
rope,
rope,
This looks like a rope. Say rope.
rope,
This is the word rope. Read rope.
rope,
Rope begins with the sound Say
er,
again,
er,
again,
er,
again.
er,
The sound of this letter is The name of this letter is air. Say air.
Air.
Again,
air,
again.
air,
What is the sound of this letter?
Er.
What is the sound of this letter?
ch,
What is the sound of this letter?
L,
What is the sound of this letter?
sh,
What is the sound of this letter?
B,
What is the name of this letter?
A,
A,
What is the name of this letter?
Shaw,
Shaw,
Good. What is the name of this letter?
L.
L,
What is the name of this letter?
J,
che,
And what is the name of this letter?
air,
air,
Air. Good. So just in this short amount of time, in a language that most of us could not read on our own, you were able to pick up 5 sounds, 5 letters, and 5 words. Just in that short amount of time. Let's move on to see if we can continue to learn the next part. I have to take off my annotate. Stop annotate. And when we are reading, you notice that we read from left to right. And then we ask, what is the sound of letters? Reviewing from the bottom to the top. And then we move over to the right and we start asking for the names of letters and review all the way down to the bottom. That same pattern we use for every one of the charts in Laubach Way to reading, especially in level 1. Now let's see if we can apply what we've learned to this next part. I'm going to add my annotate tool and get my laser pointer. Come on, laser pointer, be my friend. All right. Do you notice any of the words on these lines in the chart? Can you see any of them?
All of them.
Yes. Are there some new words that we have not learned?
Yep.
Yes.
It means that we're going to learn them by sight. These lines are sentences. What gives you the clues that these are sentences?
There's a period at the end of the word of the sentence.
There's a period. And if these are sentences, how many sentences will we be reading?
5.
Are there any words that you can recognize just by their characters beyond what we've taught you so far?
The A.
A. All right. Now we're going to learn
This
how to
is-
read these 5 sentences, and we'll use the chart as a visual cue. I am going to read the first sentence, and then you'll repeat it, and then we'll read the next 4 sentences together. This is a boy. This word in this exercise is not a. Let's read this together.
This
This is
uh,
a boy.
boy.
Good. Now let's read this one.
This
This
This is
uh,
Ship.
ship.
good. Next line.
this
This is
This
Uh,
a
ladder.
letter.
good.
This,
This
This
Is
is
uh,
a
chair.
chair.
and the last sentence. Let's read it together.
This
This is
is
This
a rope.
rope. What is this word?
Boy.
What is this word?
ship,
Ship.
What is this word?
Ladder.
What is this word?
chair,
And what is this word?
Rope.
And what is this word that we learn by sight?
this
This
And this one?
is
And this one?
uh,
a
Excellent.
A in English.
Right. But in the case of this, we're saying So you picked up 6 more sight words just in the short amount of time that we have, and you were able to read fluently using the same words from the chart, 5 sentences. Let's move on to the next one. And let me get my annotate tool back. And here's my laser pointer. Come on, laser pointer, you are my friend.
do I know that first sentence?
So now you've started to get some confidence. I know that first sentence. We have some new words. I am going to read this, but beforehand, how many paragraphs do we have?
Do,
2. And how can you tell that these are paragraphs?
because there's a space between them.
There's a space between them. Now, if you were reading a language that does not read from right to left, you'll be teaching English is read from right to left. And we are grouping these in paragraphs. And the first grammar clue that you'll be teaching is the sentence ends with a period. But we already know that, and we're going to teach you the paragraphs for the words on how to read these paragraphs. I'm going to read the first, and then the rest of you will be able to repeat and follow through the rest of this first paragraph. This boy has a ship. Now you read.
This
Is
Boy
boy
has
has
a
a ship.
Good. Let's read the next one together.
this
This boy
Have
has
a
ladder.
A ladder. Good. Next.
this
This boy
boy
have
has
a
a chair.
chair.
Good. And last.
This
Boy
boy
have
has
a
a rope.
Wonderful. So you were able to read the first paragraph and add another sight word, has. Second paragraph, we're going to read the first line together, and then then you'll be able to read it on your own afterwards. This boy is on
on
a ship. So let's read this together.
this
this
Boy
is
is
on
on
a
a
ship.
Good. Now let's read the next sentence.
This
This
ladder
ladder
is
is
on a
a ship.
Good.
this
This
chair
chair
is on a
a
ship.
ship.
And the last sentence.
This
this
This rope
is
is
on
on
a
a ship.
Very good. So I'm going to leave this up so you can see what you were able to read. I asked in the beginning, could any of you read those 2 paragraphs fluently? And in the beginning, all of you said, nope, I cannot. And at the end, if I were to ask any one of you to read these 2 paragraphs, do you think that you could read these 2 paragraphs fluently? How many of you feel like you could? I'm seeing some, yes.
Yeah.
with the pictures next to it. Yeah.
right. That's true.
So, couple of things I hope that we learned from this is, how did you feel when I first asked you, could you read these paragraphs? If you were asked for the first time to read this in front of a room full of people, how confident would you have been without any support?
Not confident at all.
Abby says, not confident at all. What about any
I
of
was
you?
lost.
Feeling lost. Once we put the chart up and we were able to go to it together, how did you feel as you were going through the process? What were some of the things that you were feeling? Were you anxious or were you nervous? Or what were you feeling as we were going through and you were being tutored through this chart?
I felt good because you went pretty slow and had us repeat everything.
Slow and repeat. Repetition is your friend when it comes to tutoring. You notice when there was repetition, there wasn't that much variety in how it was said. There was the same word said the same way to give you some consistency. Imagine if every letter and every word I was teaching differently. Instead of saying, this is a boy, I would say things like, okay, now let's read the next sentence. Your turn. No, your turn. Those extra words can be kind of confusing, but having that slow and repetition was helpful. Is there anything else that you felt that was helpful to get it to the point where you felt somewhat confident in reading this on your own? I heard that there was the pictures and charts helped. Anything else?
I wrote it down while we were talking, so it made me feel more confident.
Taking notes. Being able to record and do it for yourself, that is one very good tool. When you are working with a learner, one of the best strategies to teach first is taking notes. It works for you, it works for them. We teach in our empowerment group 4 key strategies for adult learners: note-taking, goal setting, time management, and test taking. That applies to every adult learner, including all of you, which is why I was asking for all of you to take notes, because you can go back to it and see it in your own words. Can you see how this would be helpful in teaching a new reader who had never read the alphabet or never read at the 1st grade level? What are some of the things that make this effective from your perspective?
Repetition. You start off with a letter, you go to the word, then you go back to the letter again.
Yes, repetition and the visual charts, that is a way, a system to be able to give you a way of efficiently teaching this level 1 literacy lesson. What we are orienting you to is a system of learning, not just the early literacy strategies, but the Laubach Way to reading is a system that organizes all of those pre-literate skills into a system of learning, so that if you are reading at or below the 1st grade, you can start learning first with the letters, then the words, then the sentences, and then reading with fluency from your very first lesson.